everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm here today to share with you my December reading wrap up, and the first book that I finished in December was Flames by Robbie Arnott. This was a reread for me. This was my final of my 4 rereads of 2024, and I definitely enjoyed this. There were moments when I was reading it again where I thought, am I gonna like this as much as I did the first time? And I really did by the end. This is such a unique novel. It is about relationships, not just human relationships, but relationships between spirits and humans, and nature and humans, and animals and humans. It has fantastical elements, it has magical elements, but it's still just such a very human story about kind of manifesting feelings in a supernatural way. So yeah, I love this. I realized after finishing this that I'm actually 2 books behind on his output now. I've read Flames and his second book, The Rain Heron, and he has 2 more books out. So I would really like to get to the other ones. Hopefully I'll get to at least one of them in 2025. Yeah, and I'm going to share a dedicated video to my thoughts on my reread experience for 2024, and I will be back with you again when I have finished another book. So the first book that I finished for this month was My Conversations with Canadians by Lee Maracle. This is a collection of essays, I would say. They are topical, each one around a conversation that Lee Maracle, around a question she was asked by a Canadian, or around a topic that she thought was important to elaborate on for people. And I really appreciated her perspective on this. I had a feeling this book would be confronting, but also just like super profound, and it definitely was both of those things. I think Lee Maracle was a brilliant thinker, and I'm so glad that her work remains for us to continue to explore and read and absorb. So I can see that this book would be difficult for people. There are a lot of confrontational things that are said in here, and I think that those are all things that need to be said, need to be understood, and need to be reiterated to settler Canadians. And I really appreciate her direct way of delivering them, and I feel very lucky to have the opportunity to read these books and to continue to deepen my understanding of the role that white supremacy and settler colonialism has played on this continent, but also to continue to dismantle it as best I can within myself every day. So yeah, I think a lot of people struggle with this journey, the journey of truth and reconciliation, the journey of decolonizing. And that's why a lot of people don't do it, because it's hard and it's complicated and it's complex and it's threatening. No, it's not threatening, actually. I don't find it threatening. It is challenging. It challenges you. And a lot of people don't enjoy being challenged, and I understand why. It's much easier not to be challenged in your life. But I'm not like that. I do want to be challenged. I do want to be pushed on these ideas, and I want to feel those feelings deeply so that I can be better, and continue to be a better person all around. So that's what reading this work helps me accomplish. There are some absolutely brilliant points in this book. I would encourage anyone to read it who is looking to decolonize, and absorb as much as you can. And I wouldn't be surprised if I do revisit this sometime in the future. Her section on identity was particularly poignant for me, and I definitely think I may want to get a hard copy of the book and look through that section again, because it is an area that I'm exploring in my artwork. And so there were things, I think, quotes that I could pull out of that that would be really helpful to the writing that I have to do to explain a lot of the work to those who may view it. So that was My Conversations with Canadians by Lee Maracle, and I listened to that on audio. The only thing about the audiobook I would say is that the narrator read it in a very it wasn't monotone, but it was very there wasn't a lot of inflection in her voice. She did inflect here and there, and it was interesting to see which sentences and which parts of the writing that she wanted to put more emphasis onto with her voice. But I could see that it might be a bit, it may not suit everyone's listening taste to hear the book read in that way. But for me, I listen to it on regular speed as well, and often I will go to 1.25 speed, but I listen to it on regular. It may have been easier for the tone that was used if I did put it up, but I didn't want to for some reason. I just wanted to listen to it more slowly, so that I could really absorb what was being said effectively. So yeah, that is all I have to say about that. And then the other book that I finished today, 2 in one day, is Waterfall of Stars, My 10 Years on the Island of Skomer by Rosanne Alexander. Rosanne Alexander and her boyfriend, but became husband, Mike, went to the island of Skomer in the 1970s, lived there for a decade, taking care of being the wardens of this park and nature reserve. And there's some beautiful nature writing in here. I do go into quite a bit more detail about this in my 5-star wrap-up video, so I will link that down below. Overall, I enjoyed it, but I did find I lacked a connection. This is a memoir, so I wanted a bit more of a connection with Rosanne, and I didn't get that. So I would say that that kind of lacked for me a little bit in the story. But like I said, if you want a bit more detail about this book and my thoughts on it, then you can go to the 5-star 2024 5-star predictions wrap-up video, and you will hear all about it there. All right, I will check in again when I have finished another book. Hi all. I just wanted to let you know that I did finish, in a way, Dreaming in Color by Fassett, an autobiography. I didn't actually read most of the text of this book. I read about 3 chapters, and then I just read the introductions to each chapter because he summarized his narrative in these little introductions. And I think for me, there was just a bit too much detail of people and things in his life that I just didn't find compelled to read by his writing style. So I'm sure for him, it was a really great book to detail the milestones in his life, and he's had a very interesting life with a lot of stuff that's happened to him, and he's a very prolific person. But I just found that I wasn't as interested in all the little details of how he got to where he was as this book provided. So it's a very beautiful book, though. There's a lot of beautiful photographs, very colorful, very bright. So I would recommend just looking through it if you want some inspiration for florals, color, travel. Yeah, it's a beautiful book, but just didn't compel me enough to read it from cover to cover. So I'll check in again when I finish another book. Hi everyone. I have been taking a rather slow approach to the holidays this December. So I did finish Death of an Artist by Kate Wilhelm. And this was my 75th book of the year, which was my Goodreads reading goal. And as I was approaching halfway or 3/4 of it, I thought, oh no, this book is not worthy of hitting my reading goal. So I didn't super enjoy this one. It says a mystery right here. But it's not the type of mystery that I thought, which was a whodunit. Instead, it was a mystery where you knew the whole time who had done the murder, and you were following a group of people, a retired police officer, the daughter of the person that was murdered, and the mother of the person who was murdered, as they tried to prove it, which they never, well, spoiler alert, they don't actually prove it. I guess they do, but more to themselves than to anyone else. So I wasn't super into it. It was quite readable. It's set on the Oregon coast in a small town, but it just didn't have a, if you know what's happening, and you know who did it already, it kind of isn't that engaging. And I also found that the thought processes that the characters went through were all very extreme and felt kind of forced and not realistic in any way. So yeah, I only gave this 2 stars. It really was not my type of book, and I don't think it was that well executed in terms of engaging the reader. And there's, of course, like a little romance thrown in there. And I find those parts of these types of novels to be a bit contrived. And I don't know why they need to be there. I don't know if you need that little bit of romance just to engage you more in the story, when you could, if I think the author would have put more work into making the mystery more interesting, then that would have been enough for me. I didn't need a romance too. Yep. So that's all I really have to say about Death of an Artist. Won't be going on to my my list of books about artists that I think people should read. So I am hoping to finish one more book before the end of the month. We're getting really close here. It's December 27th, but I'm hoping to get one more in, and I will share that one with you when I have finished it. Oh, and by the way, this is a new change of scenery. I'm visiting my family in Quebec. So this is my childhood, well, a version of my childhood room. So yes, different scenery than usual. Okay, talk to you soon. Hey everyone. So I finished my last book of December. Technically I finished it on January 1st, but I'm considering it finished in December to finish off this reading wrap up. So I read A Wedding in December by Sarah Morgan. This is the 3rd Sarah Morgan that I have read. She is a romance, contemporary, women's lit writer. And I really loved the first one I read of hers, The Christmas Sisters. And subsequently each Christmas or December, I've read one of her books. And this one was fine. I think that there's a bit too much formula now to her style, so I'm not sure if I will continue much further in her books. I know there is one that I had on my library list that was checked out, so I couldn't read this year, and I found this one instead. So I think I might read one more of hers in future, and then if the formula is very similar, I may discontinue reading her books. But this follows 3 women, 2 sisters and their mom. Maggie is the mother. Rosie is a young, impetuous 22-year-old, and Katie is her 10-year-old older sister who is a doctor. They are based in the UK, but Rosie gets engaged to a man living in Aspen, Colorado, and it's going to be a whirlwind Christmas wedding. And there's a whole bunch of things that the family have been keeping from each other, which is pretty typical of Sarah Morgan's work. She writes things that are very complex, like complex layered relationships between people, and that's really what she explores in her novels. So while there are romance elements and relationships form and happen during the course of the story, the love relationships are not really the main focus of her novels, which is why I like them. So this one is, there's a fake dating scenario. There is a lot of lovely descriptions of Aspen at Christmas time. And it has a really great atmosphere if you're looking for something that's kind of wintry and but also something that has maybe some more depth to it, some issues around burnout and health considerations and things like that. They're all kind of explored in here. Life after grief, divorce, they're all kind of part of this story. So yeah, it was fine. I didn't love it, but it was something easy and entertaining to read over Christmas. So that is my wrap up for my December reading. I hope you had a great reading month in December, and I will be back again soon with another video.